Welcome, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from whichever time zone you all are joining from. Thank you for joining us today for this exciting panel discussion in the retail industry. It's truly a pleasure to have each one of you here. And I trust you all are having a wonderful day till now. Today, we are having a very interesting topic, which is driving retail decisions through data and insights. We'll discuss in detail about the same throughout our webinar. But before that, let me begin by introducing myself and AI Core Spot to you. My name is Nitin Naveen. I'm Vice President Innovation Strategy at AI Core Spot. With over a couple of decades of experience in different consulting firms, specializing in the different emerging technologies, I feel fortunate to consistently engage with a lot of global leaders, innovators, stakeholders, and who all are driving the positive change within the ecosystem. Joining me today, I have few of my colleagues. Arvind is there, then I have Archana, and in the back end, I have Naveen, who will be infusing energy into this event. A big applause for their dedication in making efforts to make this gathering a great one. Some facts about AI Core Spot, which I wanted to bring forward in this forum to all of you. It was founded over 3 years ago and is meant to be a source of inspiration in the tech landscape, focusing on different emerging technologies such as AI, ML, robotics, IoT, and so on. Our webinars serve as a platform to share the latest advancement in these fields, providing fresh insights every month as we continue to gain momentum. We aim to be the leading AI-driven community worldwide, fostering collaboration and growth among like-minded individuals like you all. We are committed to curating industry-backed webinars, hybrid events, which leverage insights from different industry leaders, subject matter experts, all our trusted partners, which help us to deliver credible and valuable content. Additionally, our content is meticulously crafted across various digital platforms, which includes monthly newsletters, blogs, videos, podcasts, which keeps our audience informed and engaged about the things which is going on in the industry. Bringing back the attention to today's webinar for which you all are here for. The topic is very interesting, unlocking retail success through analytical intelligence. So gear yourself for an enlightening discussion on data driving retail, how it is used, how to acquire and retain new and old customers, something thought about predictive analytics, price optimization, digital product roadmap, personalization, and much more, which is creating excitement within the scope of retail industry. Our panel of experts is poised to share invaluable insights and engage in thought-provoking discussions that promises to leave a lasting impact. Before starting the conversation, we would like to extend gratitude to our community partners. So we have 4 great companies, which includes Keurig Dr. Pepper, American Eagle, InfoVision, and Foot Locker. Their invaluable contributions have been instrumental in making today's webinar possible. And of course, a heartfelt thank to all of you attendees. Your presence and participation are deeply appreciated. As we embark on this journey together, our primary goal as a company is to equip you with valuable insights and facilitate meaningful connections. Whether you walk away with innovative ideas or forge new connections, your engagement is a testament to our collective success. So without further delay, let me introduce our esteemed speakers for today's session. I'll start with our first esteemed speaker, who is Avani Desai. She is Director of Product Management and User Experience at Keurig Dr. Pepper. Our second esteemed speaker is Abhilash Vantaram, who is VP of Emerging Tech and Global Head of Innovation at InfoVision. Our third esteemed speaker is Siddharth Singh, who is Director of Engineering at American Eagle. And fourth esteemed speaker and moderator for today's event is Sameer Nagpal, who is Chief Business Officer handling retail, consumer good, and logistics space at InfoVision. Before we begin, a quick disclaimer. The views shared expressed by all our speakers are their personal ones and it's not necessarily reflective of their existing organizations. So before starting, let me hand over the stage to Sameer to begin this exciting panel discussion. Over to you, Sameer.
Thank you, Nitin. I think we missed Amy introduction. So Amy is the 5th speaker that is there. I think we missed the introduction for Amy. So maybe thank you, and everyone thank you for joining this esteemed panel discussion. So I think the topic that we have today is like driving retail decisions through data and insight. So I just wanted to start. I was just doing some research earlier in the week and in the past. There was a research that was done by Gartner, and they were saying that by 2024, the data fabric deployment with various retailers will increase 4 times. That's the research that was done in 2023, but that was predicting for 2024. The second research part that was done by the Gartner themselves was that any decisions that are taken using data will be automated by 2025 to the tune of 95%. Again, this I don't know whether this is a fact or this is going to happen in 1 year's time, but I'm just saying this is some analysis that was done in 2023 for some predictions in 2024 and 2025. Now, with this, just 2 data points, I just want to kickstart this discussion in terms of, let's say I'll start with Avni, you for example, and then I'll go around the table. Avni, so what do you feel, or what do you think in your experience are some of the things that are driven by data, basically on the retail side? I think what are the decisions that because the topic is retail decisions. So what are the typical decisions that are driven by the utilization of data?
Keurig Dr. Pepper breeds data. I would say that like every decision that we make is based on data. So we have a big data science team at our company, and we look at what is something that can help us make those decisions, right? So starting from monthly active users, how many people come to our website, to who are engaged user, who are looking at which pages of the website, and also how are they converting, what are the products they're looking at. So each and every data point is important when we are making a retail discussion or retail decision. So I would say Keurig breeds data. Like without data, we don't move forward with any decision.
Got it. Siddharth, over to you. Like American Eagle, or the past experience that you have, what are the typical areas that you see that are driven by the data decisions, or decision based driven by data?
Definitely. You touched upon my past experience, and I'm coming from the Alexa world of the Amazon, so you can understand Alexa lives on the user data that we have in Titanic. So we're leaving that apart. Coming back to retail, let's understand the retail setup that we have. So there is a website, there is a mobile app, and there is a retail stores also that we have. So there are 3 channels which are very different with each other in the usage also. The data from the customers that we are getting, it's driving the decisions while they are uniform in certain way. The core idea behind them, using the data is same: how to retain the customers, how to acquire the new customers, how to retain them and get the maximum value out of it. But the way that they are applicable on these 3 different channels are very different, right? That's one part of it. And then once the shopping is done, there's a lot of decisions that we do based on the data that we have on the supply chain side, how to ship that product to the customer. So as we deep dive into more into specific use cases and things, we will talk about more. But you see, in all the channels or facets of omni-channel, the data is being used to basically like top 3 KPIs. I would say that's how to acquire new customers, how to retain them, and how to generate more values out of them, more transactions. And then including that, how to ship products with most economic way and faster to them.
Got it. Thank you. Sid, Sid, you also mentioned 3 channels, right? You mentioned omni-channel as retail, mobile, and the commerce. I'll jump on to Amy, because Amy kind of manages the entire mobile part of it. So Amy, from your perspective, how do you kind of, again, the same data, what kind of decisions, but how do you see the data decisions driven by the mobile, like in the sense the mobile channel vis-a-vis retail, or vis-a-vis, because you have done in the past as well. So how do you see that actually kind of, Amy, I'll start with Amy first, actually. Please go ahead, Amy.
So hi, everyone. I'm Senior Director of Mobile Engineering at Foot Locker, since you missed my intro. So I managed the mobile applications for Foot Locker, and I've managed for many other brands in the past. And I really think the mobile app is the best way to build the loyalty with your customers, right? Because they're carrying your app around with them in their pocket all day long, every single day. And so you have this like unique ability to be able to build a relationship with your very best customers, because you're just there all the time with with them.
Yeah.
And as a result of that, you get this tremendous amount of information and data from those customers that actually matter to you the most. And so from a mobile perspective, we're definitely tracking all of the same things that, that track on web and that are really important for retail. We look at the cart conversion rate, how many customers come to the app, and then how many actually purchase something. We look at our basket size, our average order value. And as you can imagine with sneakers, like a lot of times people are only buying one pair of sneakers at a time, right? So but trying to figure out how we can optimize there is always top of mind. We look at our monthly active users as well. But again, from the mobile perspective, most of our customers in that mobile app are our most loyal customers. And so sometimes the behaviors are a little bit different than what you might see on the website. So it's interesting to track the differences between behaviors on mobile versus behaviors on web for that reason.
Thank you. I think that makes sense. Avi, I'll jump on to you. So I think, Avi, I wanted to kind of put your thoughts around how are you doing the data kind of enabling the data decisions.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Samir. And really nice to hear the very specific thoughts that each of my co-panelists had. Really good examples. But as I have the opportunity to work with retail and also other industries as well. And there's a lot of commonality between how we look at these things. So from my perspective, as I work with retail organizations or other industries, let's talk about where data-driven decisions can be made, right? So one is customer touchpoints and customer experiences. The other one is business processes and business opportunities. And the third one is around operational excellence. So data like a bloodstream, it provides the oxygen to every part of the organization, right? So from that perspective, there are three core areas that I would look at how data-driven decisions can influence the whole retail outcome. And let's then look at what kind of data exists for each of these different, branches, for lack of a better word. So there is transactional data, there is analytical data, there is customer product, there is transient data that comes, from what is happening in the time, in-store, online, mobile that Amy was talking about. There is call center data. So there is, if you look at it from an omni-channel perspective, there is data everywhere, right? Not to mention social, new channels like augmented reality, virtual reality that are giving data like nothing, the kind of data that we've seen in the past, right? So unfortunately, most of these are in silos in today's world. And our job as, data leaders is to figure out how to effectively connect the data progressively to leverage it for the right contextual insights and decisions across all of these three categories: customer excellence, business process and opportunities, and operational excellence. And for each of these areas, there are a number of anecdotal examples that we can dive into.
Thank you. So, pardon, there was a big thunder noise behind me, but pardon that. But coming back, so I was just talking about. I think since Abhi mentioned about the business process, the customer experience, and all those things. So Abhi, I'll come back to you again. What are the various areas that you see that the data is impacting, starting from, let's say, customer segmentation kind of stuff? So what do you think are the areas that you think are based on the customer or the data management piece?
So Amy mentioned some of those pieces, right? Like loyal customers, right? So data gives us that personalization that we want to give to our end users, right? So personalization is very important when it comes to a person who comes to shop, right? So if, for example, Keurig, right? Keurig is a one shop all for coffee. So if you come to our website and if we don't give you a personalized, like, here is the coffee that you generally order from us, right? If we cannot give you that type of experience, people don't want to shop from you. People are looking more for personalized offers through emails, like we send them emails, they come on our website, and even inventory management, right? One of the other pieces that I would want to talk about is also inventory, right? How do we inventory manage it for like next 3 months or 6 months of coffee, that we don't run out of coffee, right? So we have people that come and order coffee from us. We have people who like B2B and B2C. So we want to manage our customers' inventory. So inventory is also managed through data decisions. We look at data like how many people are buying coffee from us, what are our low months, what are our high months. So all the key data decisions are looked at by based on what are the different customer touch points, what are the inventory allocations that we need to do for both B2B businesses and B2C businesses. What are the behavioral patterns? Like in the summer, people don't try to drink coffee. They're trying to drink cold drinks, right? So they don't offer coffee. So our subscription management goes down because nobody is drinking coffee anymore. So those are the different touch points that we look at data when we look at some of those decisioning making to say how do we inventory manage or how do we stock up, because we don't want to have stale inventory. So, and also those are the different, if we have to come up with new coffee, when do we launch? What type of coffee are we launching? What type of chocolate are we launching? Are we launching something which is cold, right? So we look at different spectrum of those data that helps us launch even new products which are coming in future. So those are the different things that we look at a customer, that they come in, they buy, the behavioral pattern, the amount of coffee, the basket size, the conversion. Are they buying in one attempt? Are they taking two attempts to buy from us? Or who is the loyal customer, right? Because there are people who buy from Keurig, but then there are people who buy just from Amazon. I'm buying two things, let me buy another thing from there. Or I'm at the grocery store, let me just pick up a box of coffee from there. But then we have this loyal customers which are like, no, hey, what? I want to buy Keurig. I want to go to Keurig.com or open my Keurig app and buy coffee from them, because then I'm their loyal customer, right? So those are the different touch points that we look at just to make those data decisions.
And I think Amy, you also mentioned about a little bit on the, I would say, customer segmentation. I think the customer experiences kind of drive from a little bit of understanding your customer or doing the customer segmentation, and basically, I think that's how I believe we are talking a little bit about some kind of doing predictive analytics. So I think that's the second piece I want to touch base on the data side. So Amy, how do you kind of utilize, or you gather the data, and then how do you go around with the data then after that, please?
So I kind of want to go back to what Avani just said around recommendations and kind of build on that a little bit more, because I think what you said is important. I think the recommendations piece, it's so critical to get it just right, because if you start, blowing up your customer's email or sending them notifications or other things with products that they're completely not interested in, it can actually degrade your customer experience and make your customers less loyal. And so I'll tell just a little story. So before I worked at Foot Locker, which, by the way, I work with a lot of people who really love sneakers. I mean, they have like a museum wall of their sneaker collections behind them in their Zoom. Like, it's impressive. Like, there are a lot of like huge sneaker fans that work with me at Foot Locker. For myself, I really like cute sneakers. I want them to be different colors and match all of my outfits. And that's just kind of like, that's how I am. So I'm not like, I just, yeah. See, these are my cute pink ones. I have all kinds of cute sneakers. So before I worked at Foot Locker, I used to buy a lot of sneakers from this one brand, and I was very loyal to that one brand. However, they still don't know me at all. They send me emails constantly about some new hot celebrity collab and like sign up for this and that and the other thing. And like this like NBA star is like endorsing these shoes, which is great. But I'm looking for cute shoes that match my outfits, right? I'm not swayed at all by some celebrity endorsement. That isn't who I am, and that's not what I'm looking for. And so I think, like, as we're looking at trying to build up, more, improve our recommendations, use predictive analytics to even try and predict what a customer might want to buy, really kind of expanding there, we need to make sure that we're really thinking about our users, getting to know them deeply, tracking what they've done in the past so that we can do a better job of predicting what they might be interested in the future.
Thank you. Sid, jumping onto you. You also mentioned the same thing a little while back, retaining your existing customers, acquiring new customers out there. So again, coming to the same thing, how do you kind of go around all those data, utilizing data for all those things? If you can delve into a little bit more details, please.
Definitely. I think great insights by Amy and Avni there. And just building upon that, see, when we're talking about this omni-channel, what is omni-channel? We are striving to give you an in-store experience on your website or a mobile space. But remember, the real estate on a website and even lesser on the mobile space. I said the amount of space, the amount of products that you can show on your website and mobile is less and less. So the imagine a customer walking into a store, right? So if I'm walking into a store, I'll first go to a section where I'm interested in buying in. Maybe we'll wander about a little bit, but most of the time I'll be going into a section, especially for the retail I'm talking about. Let's say I'll go to jackets if it is winter, and as Avneet was talking about, I'll go to maybe a shorts section in summers. This is the kind of behavior we are trying to mimic on the digital world side also, right? So with the constraint that the real estate is very limited, and user has not only Footlocker or AEO or the Curate app, they have multiple other apps, right? So they have options to switch from one. So how will I retain the maximum attention of my customers on my website or on my mobile or in my store by giving them a feeling that yes, somebody knows them personally and they are seeing what they want to see. And that comes a lot not only about the the customer data, but also the seasonality, the past behavior, the average behavior, the region that they are looking in. So as Abhi was saying, right, I mean, the amount of data that is available today is like surplus. How to use them to give a personal context is becoming a challenge that day these days. So yeah, these are the certain things that we are trying to kind of better, and it's always an A/B test. It's always an experimentation. You do certain things for a certain segment of market and see whether it's working or not. It might work, it might not work, and go to the right variant that you want to do. So so just summing up the entire life cycle, we take the data from multiple touch points, as our previous panelist was pointing out, try to see what do we want to target, right? I mean, the schools are reopening, for example.
Yes.
Imagine companies like Staples and uniform dresses, and even for us, right? So we are just trying to kind of find out what is the shopping pattern for in this season for different age segments of customers will be, and trying
Yes.
to give them that personalized offer and targeted views wherever they go, in the website, in the mobile, or even if they land up in the stores.
Got it.
So that's the journey that
And
we are building right.
point taken, Sid. And so, Abhi, I'll come to you. So how do you, because again, the data that we are gathering is immense. So how, from a technical standpoint, Abhi, have you seen that kind of we are using the data across multiple channels? How are we using the data? Well, so get some technology flavor out there, and then we'll go back to the business again.
Sorry, absolutely, Samir. So first thing, I definitely resonate with what Avni, Amy, and Sid were talking about. See, end of the day, if you compare data with human anatomy, right? So data becomes the bloodstream for us. It just carries all the nutrients. It carries, all the energy that is required out there. But it also can carry a lot of waste material as well, right? So, so if you look at that human anatomy part of things, data for me is kind of that bloodstream that enables everything to happen in the right way. It needs to reach out to the end organs properly, right? But it needs a lot of additional things. For example, if you think about data storage, as again, drawing back to the technology, data storage is like the heart, right? So it's like a human heart that pumps blood throughout the body, ensuring it reaches all the organs and tissues. Data storage is like that. Your data lakes, your data warehouses, your databases, and all of those, they are very central towards making that happen. Then you have the data processing aspects, which is kind of the brain of the human body that processes all this information, makes decisions, right? So these could be machine learning models. These could be, rules driven, right? And then there is data delivery mechanisms, which is kind of our nervous system, right? So how do you deliver data to the right time at the right place, right? And for all of these things, again, you need to, the more garbage in you have, the more garbage out. Just like our body, you need to take care of your body. You need to be conscious about what you're putting in to be able to, otherwise you have to go back to your medicines, to gym, do a lot of hard work. Data and data platforms are the same way, right? You need to make sure that you are setting up those mechanisms to clean up your data properly, to have data that can be validated and trusted, right? So from that perspective, you have your, processes that you need to put in. But ultimately, data needs to get delivered to the right place at the right time from a data consumption perspective, right? So from some of the delivery mechanism, how do you set up those architectures? And this could be reactive data, this could be proactive and predictive data as well. And then from a security perspective, think about the immune system for us, right? So just that the same way that we look at our immune system, data security has to be a very, very integral part of your entire process. Keep away those harmful pathogens, right? And then data governance is extremely important. It is like our thyroid glands and some of these other regulatory systems that actually bring in the endocrine system, regulatory feedback mechanisms. Data governance is like that. You need to have a proper regulatory body for the entire organization and the platform to work properly, right? So from that perspective, it's not just enough to have a proper set of incoming data and cleanup mechanisms, but the entire delivery mechanism, the platform becomes extremely important. Going back to some of the use cases that Amy and Avani and Sid were talking about, for instance, right? The same model is not going to fit every use case or every type of retail, for instance, right? If we look at specific models looking at buying patterns and things like those for Keurig, that is not going to be applicable towards how Foot Locker works or how Aeropostale works, right? So from that perspective, the contextualization of the data becomes extremely important. But the concepts are very similar. For instance, we have been working on, everybody is excited about generative AI, right? But how do you apply generative AI to different things? There is predictive analytics in terms of the customer segmentation we talked about, the promotions we talked about. There are multiple examples that I can cite there, but in the interest of time, I'd like to bring in, from a recommendations perspective, some of the new things that we are looking at. There is a concept called functional recommendations, right? So the traditional way of doing recommendations is based on the customer segmentation and what you have bought in from a history perspective, your patterns, and what people like you are buying and things like that. Or if you take a product, then what are other people buying similar to this product? But there is a concept now that is applicable on the mirror side of it. It's functional recommendations, which is understanding from a customer or that customer ecosystem or family that, hey, what does a day in life or a month in life or a part of your lifestyle look like, right? So, and I think Amy mentioned, understanding your customer is extremely important, right? So from that perspective, gathering that kind of information is extremely important in understanding the whole life. And there are different strategies of doing it. But this is also where we are leveraging generative AI. We already have certain information about a particular customer or their family. So there's no point in harping with them about, hey, tell me more about this, right? But what we are doing is taking our existing information data and saying that, okay, this is what we know about Samir and his family today. This is what we need to know to be able to effectively service Samir with what is going to be beneficial for them into the future. Like you may be getting similar services that you could get from one of your retailers, you're getting that from 5 different places. And if you bundle all of them up, you're going to save a lot more. And it's value driven, right? So understanding what that endpoint is, and then we are dictating generative AI based algorithms to say that, you have 6 questions. Samir is not going to sit down and give you answers for 20 questions. It's just going to shut you down and go away, right? So we're giving you 6 questions. This is your starting point. This is your ending point. Figure out a way to bridge this gap. Now, that is extremely important in kind of putting together a package that would be beneficial for Samir. And now it's up to you to take things out of the package, but that is your choice after that, right? So things like these that are a little bit more different in way of how we've been doing business in the past, we're starting to look at that. There's a couple of other examples that I'm very interested in throwing out here, especially from, like I mentioned, data in garbage out, but good data is in, good data out, right? So in terms of, for example, Foot Locker we're talking about, how do you, or Aeropostale, how do you give that experience to the customer in terms of, how does this look, whether it is try-on experiences or things like those. Now with augmented reality, there is a lot of really good data that you can collect. Now you can actually collect data that we've always wanted to collect. What is your brain thinking? What is your eye looking at? That is very precise information. With immersive technologies, if you move away your phone or your glasses or whatever channel you're doing immersive, it immediately knows that you're not interested on this thing, right? So the data that comes back from it is extremely accurate. Now, how do you start taking that data? So these are data, collection channels as well. apart from giving that kind of wow experiences to your customers, that brings that kind of loyalty factor to a large extent. So people buy from people they like. So these are ways of making things happen. So it's a very connected ecosystem across the way I look at it.
Thank you. Avi, thank you very much. So I think we have been talking about, I would say, generating sales, a customer experience, and personalization using that. I think I'm also going to jump onto the other side, which is more on the optimization. When I say optimization, so there are two ways to look at things, right? One is obviously you generate the revenue, you get the customer experience up, and you get more sales out there. The second one is optimization in terms of the cost optimization. Whether you talk about, I think some of you mentioned about the inventory that is very key component of this particular data. So and then obviously we are talking about something like dynamic pricing. We are talking about there are a lot of concepts that are being run on the data side. So I would like to start with, let's say, inventory or the cost. How do you optimize the cost using the data that we are looking at? Are you doing that kind of cost optimization using the data, or are you only focused on the customer experience kind of stuff? So I just want to get some perspective on the other side. So Avani, starting from you, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So we definitely look at cost optimization, and we look at it every quarter, right? Because for Keurig, especially, it is not in-house. So we have a 3P with somebody else, which is third party, and we need to definitely get some good optimization from them, right? So we look at and every quarter is different for Keurig. So starting from the first quarter of the year, we look at how many people bought a coffee versus summers where it's people are not buying coffee from us, right? We don't have that many orders that come in, right? So do we need that many people at the warehouse, because we pay by the hour at the warehouse when they pick, pack, and ship? Those are the different things that we have to manage to make sure that prices are not going up during our low time, right? So one of the time is low is summers, where people stop drinking coffee and they go back to drinking cold drinks and cold stuff. They do drink some coffee, there are still some loyal coffee customers that come to us and buy cold coffees and stuff, or buy a regular coffee but drink it as cold. But they are not that many, right? So we see a dip, and then the dip picks up back in September when we are back to school and when people are back to seasonal flavors. And there is this coffee which comes in, which is the reindeer blend coffee, which I still don't understand. But then there are holiday blend coffees and stuff that we bring brand new during that time. The pumpkin flavor coffee, which is really very famous in Keurig. So we have to staff based on previous years to see how people are buying coffee, how many orders we're predicting. And then suddenly we see a spike during our Turkey 5 days, which are our Black Friday, Thanksgiving, Black Friday days, where people are busy shopping for products, right? So they come to our website, they buy coffee machines. Keurig also sells around 12 to 15 different coffee machines. So they come and they buy coffee machines and they're trying to gift it to somebody, right? So one of the biggest deals, because we have to be price competitive, we are on website as well as on app trying to sell those machines out, and say okay, how many orders those are the biggest spike of the year for us. That's where we have to have more people come in, and our 3P goes up. We are even working weekends because we need to ship the products on time. People want to get their gifts before Christmas so they can wrap it up and give it during the Christmas. So we see a big spike in November, December, where people are still buying last minute shopping from us for Christmas or Thanksgiving. They come in and they buy a lot of machines or a lot of different types of coffee, or even we have different types of gifts that people plan to order. So during that time, our optimization, whatever we are trying to cost us, it is going to go high, right? Because we know that people are going to come, there are going to be a lot of orders, and even our website maintenance has to go up, right? Our website cannot go down. But lot of optimization, during summer months, we keep it 3 days a week. Our warehouse is only operating 3 days a week, versus when it's Thanksgiving or something, we have 7 days. We have laborers, we have everybody working round the clock, orders shipping out, making sure that orders are going out on time. So depending, we look at the different traffic pattern also that comes in during that time, because there can be one year where COVID hits, everybody's home now, everybody wants coffee. So looking at like different predictive patterns and also like different stuff, we have to manage our cost optimization with that as much as we predicted. But we also have to look at like those months where we are getting a lot of coffee versus where we don't have a lot of orders. And also the other side of the cost optimization is how much coffee do we even make, right? Because you cannot, coffee is something which is cannot stay, doesn't have that long shelf life. You can make a sneaker and a sneaker can be there on the shelf for the longest amount of time, but coffee is only like 6 to 8 months. So yeah, our cost optimization is also upstream a little bit to see how much coffee do we want to build, right? Because some of our coffee also comes from Africa. Get those beans from Africa, we roast them. So we pack for everybody from Starbucks to Walmarts of the world. Everybody the K-cup pods are built in-house in Keurig. So we need to do our cost optimization upfront also based on how many people are going to buy, right? So being predictive about like, okay, next 3 months we are going to get a lot of orders, or next 3 months we are not going to get a lot of orders. Some of our coffee machines are like the parts and everything come from China. So we need to be like a little bit careful because they do ship it in sea and in boat, and it takes time for us to receive it. If we don't receive it, we can give it to Amazon for our B2B business. So cost optimization has to be balanced both upstream and downstream before the order gets placed and after the order gets placed. So we don't want to lose a sale at that time. And we don't want to have a customer experience where a customer is like, I couldn't find a coffee. Now I'm going to go to Amazon or I'm going to go to Costco and buy that. So we lost a customer. So as much as a customer acquisition cost is higher, a retention is lower. So we want to retain you. If you've come to our website, buy from us. So we need to look at cost that also takes us to build something for you versus after you bought it from us, how much does it take to implement things at the warehouse, make sure the orders are going out, because people are so impulsive nowadays that if I don't give you an order within a day or two, you are going to shop from somewhere else. So also like how fast can we deliver coffee to you is also something that we need to look at. So how much ever we try to save the money to say, hey, it's okay if we don't have a warehouse open on a Saturday, Sunday, but if I lose a customer, if I don't keep my warehouse open, I'm going to lose some customers at the end of the day, because for some people, coffee is essential. For some people, they want their things to be delivered within 2 days. So those are some of the things that we have to be really careful about.
Absolutely. I have a follow-up question, Avani, and this is one topic that you mentioned, sir. So
I think why has the average customer or consumer become, right? I'm part of that consumer base who becomes disappointed if I don't get something the next day.
No, but Abhi, I have a question out there. It's a question in different ways. So, Avani, so let's say, and this may be different from Sid in American Eagle, and it may be different for like Amy in Foot Locker. Because I'll tell you, if I am a Keurig customer and I go for Keurig coffee, if I'm not getting a coffee, let's say from Amazon or let's say Costco, I'll go and buy from Amazon, but I'll still go and buy Keurig. I think that's one thing from your overall organization perspective. I don't think that will make a difference per se. I know you'll lose customer also. People may jump on to Nespresso or maybe I'm just saying. But what I'm trying to figure out is how does the same thing work for American Eagle, for example, Sid? Because a person is he's a brand conscious and like he goes to American Eagle outlet or he shops for American Eagle on the American Eagle B2C site or anywhere. How does this work for you? That is the first question, because I wanted to jump on that. And then also I wanted to kind of bring my first part of it, the cost optimization or any kind of inventory optimization. How do you manage using the data part of it?
Yeah, definitely. I think few things I would, great discussion. Few things you say, the customer as he proudly, we have more she customers than he. I mean, the female buys more from the American Eagle and Airy brand specifically. And then and the second part is like Avni was saying that, oh, you make a sneaker, it can last forever. There's a misconception. The average shelf value of a fashion merchandise is not more than 2 or 3 months. If it survives 3 months, it's very good. It's a high selling item. It can survive 3 months. Otherwise, 2 months is the average shelf life. It goes into dust. I mean, it even takes time because it's a non-organic product. To recycle it takes more cost than actually just dumping it into the ground. So that's the challenge. So imagine, and the seasons that are example swimwear, right? So there is a very sweet spot that you can sell the swimwear around the year. How do I make sure that I'm filling my inventory at the right spot of time when the customer is thinking that, okay, I should start getting the swimwear? And how do I create not only filling the inventory, but how do I create that aura? Like if you go to Costco, you will see this. They have cracked this code, right? How the entire store changes according to the season, and they
Right.
create a fear, or not fear, but an aura of buying things there, right?
Correct.
You see right now their market is filled with the plants and the agriculture product. You don't buy because they sell the best. You buy because it's Costco and it might run out. It might run out. They have cracked this code. How to get that kind of center? How to fill in your inventory at just the right point of time? And plants, right? I mean, if you don't buy it in spring season, they're gone. They have to throw it away, right? So these are the kind of things that we have to, over a period of time, we have to analyze and see how to fill the data. Now, we have to understand the backend operation a little bit to understand why this inventory is so challenging, right? So inventory, what does inventory mean? Like for detail, as for the retail stores, inventory means that all the stores should be populated across the United States or maybe across the globe at different seasons with the right set of merchandise that we want to sell. And to supply that even from the website and mobile, it means there are a lot of backend operations in terms of distribution centers and supply chain is operating. uh, the merchandise doesn't magically appears into the store or at your doorstep overnight. It takes a lot of touch points. It's a physical good which is moving. So
Right.
that's where data becomes extremely important to light up something on let's say let's stick to the swimming season, which is early spring March timeframe in United States. Somebody has to start preparing their dress back in the summers, last year summers itself. It has to be in these stocks. And so imagine this the kind amount of data that we have to take. how much my how much my manufacturers will take time to manufacture these things, then how much time will it take from manufacturers to ship it to my DCs and then come to stores. All this data has to be very ready, and then the predictive analysis comes that when should I give the trigger to what and start marketing to have that thing into inventory. Now this is one part, right? Another challenge that we are facing, thanks to our retail giants, and I've worked for Amazon, I saw I cannot crib that, but returns, right? Amazon and Costco, for example, have made returns ridiculously simple for people, right? You can just buy anything and return anything. People are buying uh, three sizes. Like if I'm not sure that I'll fit, or double XL or L, I'll buy all the three sizes and return two and keep one. Those returns going back into certain, by the time the return comes, the season has already gone, right? So these kind of optimize. So I'm also trying to optimize that. If somebody, can I bring in some intelligence in telling the person or helping the person what right size for you is, right? And this happens a lot in clothing and shoes in the industry, right? So what the right fit for you will be. So can I suggest bringing those things to optimize my returns? How, when the return comes to the store, how fast I can return it back to the distribution center so that it can go to other places, right? So these are the decisions. Without data, it becomes impossible for us to drive these kind of decisions, because things are just sitting there, right? Things are just sitting in the store, or at some DC, and people will not even know where and when to provide. Maybe
Absolutely.
it's cold, yeah, maybe it's hotter in let's say California or Florida or some places, but still cold in Seattle, so I can ship the jacket or winter wear to West Coast and maybe still get some sales there. So these kind of
Yeah.
decisions are totally database completely. We are trying to build up
No.
models around that to optimize both my forward inventory and the reverse logistics also.
No, absolutely. I think this is a great insight into the apparel, and I'll come to the Foot Locker also, because I believe Amy will actually also share the same thing. I had a privilege to work for an apparel giant a while back, and I saw that the planning that happens, right? The merchandise planning is between 18 to 24 months. That's the peak. That's the planning that takes, because it starts with assortment planning or the kind of enterprise planning, assortment planning. Then you do the manufacturing, ordering, manufacturing. You do all that kind of stuff. That's when your apparel is ready for that particular season. So I know the criticality and the complexity of that. I think Amy, I'll jump on to you, because I think Sid added a lot of good points out there. How do you see it happening in Foot Locker? I know you're pretty new at Foot Locker, but I want to kind of understand, how do you see it happening in Foot Locker?
I think what Sid said is all 100% true. But the things I would like to add on behalf of, like, sneakers are either trendy or they're not trendy, right? And you don't necessarily know at the time when you're purchasing them whether they're going to end up being trendy or not. And so it's really, really difficult to be able to make that plan, like you said, 18 to 24 months in advance, of like figuring out like which. Now, basically, if it says Air Jordan on it, it's probably going to be trendy. But other than that, you don't necessarily know. And so like trying to do that planning adds this like extra layer of complexity. And so I think one of the things I didn't hear quite mentioned was the balancing of pricing strategy versus inventory. And so trying to, balance the, like, well, you want to be able to get the price while if they're trendy, but then if they're not trendy, like what's the discounting strategy so that you don't get stuck with a lot of inventory. And that's like a constant balancing act, right? The data is completely informing all day, every day, trying to figure out how we can optimize for that.
So I think that's what I was coming to, the dynamic pricing kind of stuff. It could be pertaining to the trending. It could be pertaining to a customer. It could be pertaining to a geography. I think it could be multiple dynamic pricing strategies that we are talking about. But very well said, Amy. I also want to jump on, before I go into the challenges and everything, I want to jump on the technology side of it. I think you mentioned a lot of part of on the data side. I think we are talking about the business areas, but how are you managing from a technology point of view? And I think in a while back, Abhi also mentioned a little bit more about, like, the data fabric is the base layer of every single thing that you're putting in there. How are you putting your AI ML? How are you putting on your Gen AI? How are you putting on your AR VR? It's all based on that data. I think the people right now, if I go to any of the meeting, I'm not joking, and I'm probably you are also seeing the same thing. The buzzword for every single meeting is Gen AI. I think everybody talks about Gen AI, whether it is pertaining to that particular discussion topic or not. But that's one thing which is happening. So I want to jump onto the technology side, because there are people there are a lot of attendees on the forum. I want to figure out what are the technology thing that you are doing to kind of make sure you are ahead of the game on the data, kind of, let's say, whether you're doing personalization, whether you're doing the inventory management, whether you're doing the dynamic pricing. What are the technologies that you're using? Amy, I'll start with you. I don't want to start with I don't want you to be the last one, but I want to start with you. And Abhi, I'll come to you later on that side. Please, Amy, how do you do it in your current organization or the previous organization?
Yeah, so I definitely don't want to like give any spoilers of what Foot Locker is going to have planned or going to be doing in the future.
That's okay.
So leaning in the past, like ways that organizations that I've worked for have really made sure to take advantage of innovation. I love to do not just hackathons, but like really infuse that innovation spirit into our teams so that they feel like they can raise their ideas. We can try a proof of concept and then try and take that even to market and give it a quick A/B test to see if it's going to be valuable or not. Really trying to infuse that kind of experimentation mindset across our employees goes a long way in trying for us to figure out, not just chasing the hottest trends, but actually trying things out and seeing what's going to work and what's going to scale for our business. So yeah, like I said, I don't want to give away any secrets.
No, that's okay.
In general,
that's good. But I will also, I think once I go around the table, I will also talk a little bit about what I have seen in the market, because with my little bit of experience on the retail side of 25 years, what I have seen how the retail has changed over the last few years, and I think we'll talk about that. Sid, how are you handling the technology aspect of, let's say, data lake or the modeling or the data analytics? How are you handling that kind of stuff?
So yeah, that's a great question. And let me, at least with my experience, we have talked a lot of good things about what data can do, but let me be a little bit of spoil sporter here.
Absolutely.
In most of the companies, 80% of the data models or artificial intelligence or Gen AI and all what we talk about never enter the production. They are a hackathon, there are ideas and all, but they never enter to production. And with my experience, I have found out is that we hear that every company is, like you said, the Gartner research, Gen AI is the next thing. Everybody wants to do the Gen AI, but they have not cracked the use case in which they want to start small, right? So I
Yeah.
think the way that we are trying to do, clubbed with the challenge, as Abhi was saying, uh, he was giving a beautiful analogy of human body, right? Imagine human body is zillion times more intelligent than what our current state of AI is. Plus, with the data scenario that we have, the garbage is not, or the data is not coming from one body; it's coming from multiple bodies. Any companies that we are will be a setup of their own data lakes, plus multiple other vendors who are sort of handling a portion of data for that. So, collection of data becomes itself very challenging. So, coming back to this technology part, right? So, I think one important part is we focus a lot on starting small and having a right use case that to target with, and then go back and manage which of my these vendors or data in-house can handle that use cases. So we have a sort of a data reconciliation in-house, which technology, and then so one of the challenges, as I was saying, the multiple vendors, right, handling my data. So at the end of the day, all such vendors will have to pump the data back into my data lake, and then we will have to analyze and create data marts for these specific use cases. Any model or any AI or Gen AI is as good as you train the data upon. So that's what we take here. We start small, take this, and this data lake, we have an in-house data lake which is reconciliating the data from all the different partners at the end, creating data marts in the small, and then kind of seeing whether do we need descriptive modeling here only, or prescriptive, or something like that. So if then we understand that and host small models in this particular use case. Sometimes from the technology wise, what we also do is layering of results. So maybe you are getting multiple results from multiple touch points or landing pages of the customers. You consolidate that and take a rule based decision based on that. So it's not always the models which are hosted, and then you take the results. And even these models sometimes are hosted in house or are hosted with vendors. Depending upon your use case, you can either go with the output themselves or consolidate the output, build a rule engine on top of that, and then light up your these things. So this is how we have devised solutions in Amit.
Wonderful. Avani, coming to you, and then probably if I go to Abhi, he will continue. He'll talk a little bit more detail, because I know Abhi. He worked together very well, many times. But that's why I want to come to you first before I go to Abhi, actually. So,
Yeah,
Not
no, no
complaining.
worries.
the same thing. How is the technology kind of is enabling, or you are facing a challenge, or how are you enabling your all your decisions for data, basically using the technology?
So, fun fact, right? So, I have sat in around 25, I would say, demos in last year itself till like April of this year, just to look at like startup companies coming in and providing demos to us to talk about how can we do like generative AI for you or machine learning. It's expensive, right? So any company that I look at, they want to come and do it because they know somebody at Curec, and we all have to sit through this demo to just look at what they have to offer, right? And how can they come and solve for us? And it's all the big names and all the startups that you can think of, and they want to all come in house. So they all make the travel, they come in house, and they show us what they have to offer us. So there are like at least 25 demos I can count, and then millions of cold calls to say, hey, you have 10 minutes, I want to show you this. But everything is expensive, right? As my fellow people are saying, right? So it's, as Siddharth mentioned, right? Like it's, there are so much touch points that we have, and then there is also like we talk about good data, but we also talk about garbage data, right? Some of them is not the data that you want to use, right? When COVID hit, right, people were home, they were ordering all crazily, right? Because they thought they would run out of stock from somewhere. Even if you're a brand loyalist, you couldn't go to the store, so you are buying online and you thought that things might go out of stock, right? We went out of stock on so many products, and then we had to like order as fast as possible, but then everything was kind of on a shutdown, right? So we couldn't have products. So but that data, you cannot take that data and now use it towards all the every month, right? I cannot be as much stock I had during COVID now, right? It cannot be the same thing. But we have started shopping for technology. Everything is super expensive when it comes to AI ML. But my one of my vertical is also customer care. We didn't talk about customer care over here, but customer care, I have a vertical where I also look into like all the customer care, like the calls that are coming in, and then we also service like 20 machines that are in the Costco sells, Walmart sells versus what Keurig.com sells, right? And all the different types of coffee. So some of the segment of the customers today still pick up the call and they want to talk to somebody if something is wrong at the machine, right? So if you call, say, customer care and there are 20 machines, and then we have, I'm not kidding, around more than 400 knowledge based articles. And we also like we have this group of people, customer care, that also churn, right? They move on, right? There are some, we staff them based on like season. So now that you might not get, you might get a net new person who is taking a call, and then that person's like, let me go through 400 knowledge based articles to find why is your brewer not giving you hot coffee, or what's wrong with your brewer, or you selected 4 ounce but it gave you 8 ounce of coffee, right? So what's wrong with your machine? So but then that call volume, right? Like we pay because it's toll free call, but somebody's paying at the end of the day, right? So that call volume is increasing because that agent is still trying to find what is happening with your machine. And some of the calls during like our big days are, where is my order, when are you shipping my order, is it like, are you shipping all the coffee together? So those are like a lot of like knowledge based articles and a lot of stuff which we thought would be a great combination, because we found out that's our right use case where we want to start. Because generative, you don't know where to start, right? Like some people would want to have their normal life, like I come to Keurig.com, I know where I go, I click on things and I found I don't want anything changed over there. Some people like me and Amy, they're like, what are you personalizing for me, right? Why can't you just show me right the coffee right on my first page? Why do you want me to explore the website, right? So there are different segments of people, right? So we are, Keurig right now is taking like a short step in taking on like, hey, you have different 400 based articles. How do we make your call quicker to say, hey, you are having an issue with the machine? You start typing it, the customer care agent starts typing in, and then we start populating on like, what can go wrong with your machine? What are the different questions to ask? And how can you close the call within the given SLA? So that's where we have started. That's a small use case, but it definitely saves us time, money, and it gives the good user experience, even though they spend like 15 minutes talking to somebody. But at the end of the day, the customer is satisfied, and we were able to quickly give you an answer that you were looking for. So we started small, but that's our right use case, and we are trying to see how can we leverage more around the website. But as we are still A/B testing and we don't know what the right use case is still.
Thank you. Abhi, I'll come to you. I think you heard a lot of the ideas out there. You heard Sid talking about people buying multiple sizes. Can we find out the right size for the person rather than buying, and how do we minimize the return? You heard Amy, you heard Avani. I want you to kind of give an insight about, because you've been working with multiple customers, how are we handling some of those things from a technology standpoint? And you don't restrict yourself only to data, but the data fabric basically. How are you working on that?
See, no, in fact, amazing points from each of the panelists here, and real problems that probably every organization sees in their own flavor, right? So, first thing, I think, like how Siddharth was mentioning, from a technology perspective, again, the data, having the right kind of data, the right availability of data, the data operations piece of it is extremely important, right? So how do you look at this entire concept of data democratization? That is extremely important. Forget data monetization. That's a eventual new LOB that you can always start looking at. But how do you democratize data for different kinds of consumers that you have? These consumers could be different personas. They could be ML models. It doesn't matter. They can be, physical or virtual, right? But that becomes very important. And there are strategies, the medallion architectures that you build, and how do you go through those processes and everything. So setting up your data platform is important, the right way. On top of it, understanding what is a common definition or glossary of your maturity models mean for you. That is extremely important for harmonization of an entire organization to understand where they are with their data. What does a particular maturity model mean for my data, and where do I want to be, and what is my roadmap, right? So these are data enablement and platform strategy aspects of things. So while they are there, that is an absolute baseline that organizations need to have to be able to effectively use their data the best way that they can. On top of it, for some of these use cases, like we were talking about size, for instance, right? This is a common problem that we've seen, not only with apparel, but with so many other use cases as well. And especially when COVID hit, that was one of the times when we started using this technology quite a lot. So especially with, you look at Gen Zs, and maybe Gen Zs are not necessarily the prime category of customers for Keurig, but in some of the other retail areas, Gen Zs are a prime target, right? So they are very technology savvy. They kind of, other than for breaks and breakfast and lunch, they're probably gaming. They're probably in a lot of gamification modes and things like those, right? Social media and everything. So we started leveraging augmented reality to a large extent in terms of not only giving that kind of experience to them that they gravitate towards to, but also solving some of these size problems as well. So there is a very curated experience that we give, where we are not only leveraging the power of the phone from an augmented reality perspective, but also physics in terms of distance and things like those. That experience essentially helps you understand while you're trying on and saying whether this color works for me or not, or this style works for me. We are also able to determine what is the right size for this person based on the physics that we're looking at, right? So those are ways. Again, this is how experience can foster data as well to a large extent, right? In certain other cases, for example, we are talking about problems with hardware or problems with machinery and things like those. Again, there is a mix of computer vision and real-time inferencing that we usually do. And this is where some of the 5G and 5G edge technologies come into play in terms of the experience of making it real-time, not having to wait for something to happen. But depending on whether a particular machine is misbehaving, if it has, for example, one of the use cases we've done is there is a flickering light, right, which determines if it's green, it's working well. If it's kind of blinking red, then it's a different, depending on what that machinery is. So for one of our customers, what we've done is, again, they just use that app, look at that that particular machinery or that particular tool, and it'll determine, based on looking at the tool, it'll determine that this is this model. And within 3 seconds, it understands what that light flickering means, going back to that 400-page articles or knowledge base, coming back and saying, okay, these are the things that you probably need to do before you reach out to the customer service. These are ways that we are helping reduce the call volumes as well. Every call is expensive, right? There are other things that we're doing in terms of operationalizing. There is a concept that is becoming extremely potent now called proactive engineering, which is essentially bringing all of your data, operational data, customer experience data from omnichannel, right? Your systems data, your developer logs and things like those. Bring all of those things together to proactively identify what a problem could be and stop and kind of highlight that problem and solve that before it actually becomes an issue, before it snowballs, right? So again, there is a lot of engineering involved in it, a lot of upfront cost in terms of building this, but in terms of your net profitability scores, your customer CSAT scores or customer experience, all of these metrics get impacted big way through all of these things, right? Now, going back to ML, for instance, right? It's very expensive, like Avani was saying, but you cannot be left behind because it is expensive, right? So how do you start looking at operationalizing? And said the right thing. It's the fact of the world today. There is a lot of excitement about machine learning. There has been a lot of excitement for quite some time, but industrialization has not happened. That is one of the reasons we still look at machine learning and data science as an emerging technology, because industrialization hasn't happened the way excitement has been progressing, right? So But industrialization takes time. You need to start looking at what MLOps mean, what industrialization and those platforms, what experimentation means, right? And at the same time, if you start industrializing, you need to be very aware of what are your models really doing. Are you responsible for the data? Are you responsible for the outcome of those models? So responsible AI and ethical AI becomes extremely integral to this whole process. So it's not just how you're going to deploy and automate your models. It is this entire larger umbrella in terms of ethical AI, responsible AI that comes into it. So it absolutely becomes expensive. But you need to go, you cannot be left behind. So we have formed very focused teams with many of our customers. We call that innovation as a service. It could be internal, it could be external. But these teams are predominantly focused on ideation to begin with, because ideation is a glue for, what do we want to solve, right? And there are design thinking exercises that you do for problem exploration, for solution exploration, and things like those. Technology comes secondary. You need to identify what is the problem, what is the situation. Then how do you solve a plethora of these technologies that are there? How do you bring them together to solve these problems, right? So then once we ideate, we prioritize and say that these are the problems we want to solve. Then we start looking at what are the technologies that could be efficiently addressing this thing. It doesn't have to be one technology. It could be it always is a combination of multiple technologies to a large extent. But that's where we call something called hypothesis-based development approach. We've seen agile, we've seen waterfall, predictive, adaptive methodologies. But there is, especially when you look at emerging technologies and innovation, the methodology that works best is called the hypothesis-driven engagement methodology, where we identify what those hypotheses are, because those are the failure points for us, right? So we need to start looking at what that means and how far do you go into the rabbit burrow before you realize that, this is not the right way, and you kind of pull back and start looking at other options.
Just one thing, because I think there is a question related to that. That's the reason I'm stopping you. Don't get me wrong, please.
Sure.
So I think what there are two questions. One is by Peter. I know we are on the maybe around 4 minutes left, but one question that has been raised by Peter is, how do you see AI being used in the retail to delight the customers? So some of the answers you responded, but I want the larger group also, like Amy and Sid and Avni, also to respond that. And a related question is, I think that's one. And the second one is this is by Paddy. What challenges do retailers commonly face when implementing data-driven strategies, and how can they be overcome, particularly in terms of leveraging data analytics to anticipate and adapt to changing market trends and consumer preferences? Now, I'm just taking these two questions together because I think when we were talking both of them together. Why AI and why is AI not working, or why ML and why ML is not working? So I think I want to take this. Probably I'll start with Sid, you first. If you can go a little bit on some of the AI being used to retail to delight the customers, and why some of the things are getting into challenges right now.
Definitely. And I think I touched upon this briefly. So
Yes.
how is AI helping? For example, any website like Amazon, when you're going to buy something or coming to our website to buy something, there are just so much products and SKUs available. If someone can suggest something near it, so suggestions, personalizations, these kind of things, where AI has really changed the game there. Reading up from the reviews and suggesting that what products are best is something which AI has really delighted the customers there. I want to brief, because we're running out of time. I want to talk more about challenges there, because as I touched upon that, I think before jumping into the solution, we first need to identify the problem space. Most of the places we hear that, oh, ML is working somewhere or model is working somewhere, so we assume that it will work for us. So that is not the case, because the data land of everybody is very different. So most of the companies where they're failing with ML is because they have not zeroed down on a use case that they want to. And one of the things I would suggest all our partners to read is about echo chambers and digital marketalization. Over a period of time, are we going towards a trend of hyper personalization? For example, if there is an opportunity for a customer to buy something more, are we just restricting their view for only a limited set of things, where my models are overtaking the personal instinct, right? So these are the challenges on the either spectrum. First, implementation wise, finding out the right use case, having the right data for it, and doing the A/B testings and all those things, and see that this is working for you. And then how to make sure that you are always monitoring the metrics of those implementations, whichever channel you are, and making sure that they are not diverging from what they're intended to either ways. So just keeping it brief.
No, absolutely. Amy, any thoughts on the challenges part of it? I know Sid mentioned about that, but any thoughts from you?
I'd like to talk instead about the opportunities, because I have this dream that from a digital experience perspective, that we can actually personalize it for individual customers. And I'm not talking about personalizing like the content and the images and the recommendations. What if we could actually personalize the experience? So like if there was somebody who, for example, was colorblind, we could actually on the fly reconfigure the entire experience to meet that exact customer's needs in that moment. And so for me, like I'd love to see AI and generative AI being used to kind of drive some of those more immersive customer experiences that are really tailored and personalized to each person.
Awesome. So I think we are on the top of the hour. I think there is hard stop for some of us. I think so. But thank you very much, gentlemen and ladies, on this bridge. Thank you for being the esteemed panel members of this webinar. Really good insights out there, and look forward to be talking to you and meeting you in some of the conferences and forums somewhere. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me give a concluding note. Thanks to all our speakers. I know Amy, Abhi, Sid, Avani, you gave some insightful contributions to discussion on driving retail decisions through the data and insights. We extend our gratitude to Samir also for the excellent moderation of today's session. I'm confident that all attendees who attended today would have found it to be both engaging and enlightening. As we wrap up this conversation, I would like to take a moment to recognize and thank all our community partners, speakers, and attendees who have been there since beginning for their ongoing support and participation over the past 3 years. Your involvement has played a crucial role in creating this environment, which is conducive to knowledge sharing and enrichment. The insights shared by panel members today were truly exceptional, and we appreciate their collaborative spirit and expertise. For those who may have missed any part of today's session or wish to revisit it, the recording will be available on our company's YouTube page for your convenience. Looking ahead, we are excited about the promising technological advancements that lie ahead in the coming months. At AI Core Spot, we have a diverse line of events planned across various sectors, which includes banking, financial, insurance, telecom, retail, supply chain, manufacturing, healthcare, and much more. We encourage you to stay connected with us for ongoing learning opportunities and updates on the latest technological developments. You can find a wealth of knowledge, which includes event announcement, registration assistance, which is there on our website and all our social media channels. Your support is invaluable to us, so please consider liking and sharing our content with your networks. Special mention to InfoVision, who is an esteemed knowledge and innovation partner, and Digit7, who is our technology partner, for their unwavering support and collaboration. Be sure to explore their websites to dive deeper into the world of technological advancements. We thoroughly enjoyed hosting this session and hope you found it as enriching as we did. We look forward to continuing our journey together and bringing you more insightful sessions in the next future and the next months as well. Until then, take care. Thank you once again for your participation and support. Have a great day and nice week ahead. Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.